Well, my project for today is this candlestick and this metal bucket. So it used to have a decal on the front of it, something about flower markets. It was in black. So I sanded that off, but it has this crease in it right here. And I want to kind of cover that up. Oh, and I glued them together with a Gorilla Glue construction adhesive. So it's been, a good 24 hours since I did that. So it's nice and dry. So the first thing I'm going to do is mix up some salt wash. And I think I'm going to be using skeleton key today if I have this on my shelf. Nope. Looks like I'm going to be using a prairie gray. So I'm going to mix up some salt wash and some prairie gray, and I'm going to cover the pot with that. And then I'm just going to do, letterpress gray. I'm going to do the base and just the DIY paint. And then on the metal, I'm going to be doing the paint mixed with the salt wash. Okay, I mixed up some salt wash and I did it a little bit thicker just because I was working with metal that had paint on it. So it kind of looks like frosting. And I gave in fact, I can even let it lay on its side. So it was salt wash and letterpress gray. Okay, so on the top of the plant stand, that's what I'm calling this. It's going to be a plant stand. I covered the entire thing in the letterpress gray that had the salt wash in it. And then on the base, I just used straight paint, same color, and it's almost dry where the salt wash mixture, you can see it's starting to dry a little bit right there and right there. So it'll tone down. And I'm going to need to put a second coat on the base. And then I need to decide what I'm going to do, whether I'm going to wet distress it back so some of that natural wood comes through, which is probably what I'm going to do. And then I will either white wax it or white dry brush it. I have some leftover letterpress gray and salt wash mixture. And I have this really cool corbel with a really horrible green color on it. And originally it looks like it was $39. I don't know where it was bought. It is not a Hobby Lobby tag. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take those tags off the bottom of it, and then I'm going to give it a thin coat of the salt wash mixture, and I'll go from there. First coat on, I'm going to need to do a second coat because there's still some of that ugly green. Well, it's only ugly on this finial poking through. So I'll let that dry. And I'm going to go ahead and get a second coat on the base of this creation flower pot while the top dries. Okay, so I got a second coat of the letterpress gray on this finial, and then I went in with this I don't know what kind of brush it is. It's just a brush I had, and it helped me get in all the little tiny spaces under here and stuff, and just did a dry brush with vintage linen. And now I'm going to clear wax it and then maybe add some dark wax in some of the spots to bring out just a little bit more of the detail. Now that I have clear waxed the whole thing, I can go in with my dark wax and just add it to different areas. And if I get it on too heavy, I can pull it back because I already sealed it with the clear wax. And if I get it too heavy and I can't pull it back enough, I can go in with some clear wax and that will pull it back. So I'm going to hit areas like right here and maybe under here, just anywhere where it might have some added highlights that I want to like make pop out more. Okay, so since I added the clear wax, I went in, the clear wax sealed everything, including the white dry brush that I did. And so to this spot right here, I added dark wax. Let me see, I'll put some on my brush and show you what I mean. So I went over the whole thing right here with dark wax. And now I can go in with my, I just have a baby wipe here, and I can just go right over the top of that, and I can bring back all of the white and leave the dark wax down in the recesses. And I really like how that looks. So I'm going to finish this up. I'll give you a final peek when I'm done doing the entire project. Now that everything is dry, I'm going to go ahead and wet distress this back to some of the natural wood that's underneath. Then I'm going to come in with some white wax and let it set down in all of these, all of the brush strokes. And once that's all dry, then I'm going to come in with a stencil. Oops, sorry, wasn't paying attention there. With a stencil before I fill the flower pot with an arrangement of some sort. And I haven't decided if I'm going to go with just greenery or if I'm going to put flowers in it. It all depends. And I'm not going to make it, I finished the inside of the pot. So whatever I put in it is going to be removable. I'm not going to put it in there permanently, so that if somebody buys this and wants to put a living plant in it, they can do that. So I'll be back with the final results. The color of letterpress gray really changes depending on how you finish it. I painted both of these the same color, and I'm sorry, my light's not really great out in my workshop, but I painted both of them in letterpress gray. This one, this little votive holder, I finished with white wax. I'm sorry, with clear wax. So I just gave it 2 coats of the letterpress gray, did a little bit of wet distressing on it. Oops, it doesn't look like it's focusing there. There. A little bit of wet distressing on it to bring back some of the natural wood, which is like this cherry wood. And then cleared it with clear wax. And by clearing it, I mean sealed the paint. And with this one, I did the 2 coats of letterpress gray. And then I wet distressed it and brought back some of the natural wood. And after I was done with that, I cleared it with white wax. So just white waxed the whole thing, rubbed it back to get off the excess wax. And to me, they have 2, if I lay them down side by side, sorry, I'm giving you I have a better light above me where there's no shade. So side by side, this one definitely looks gray to me. And this one has more, let's see, this one is a gray with kind of a, I don't know, almost a brown undertone to it. Maybe that's just, I'm just calling it from the wood, but this one definitely has a blue hue to it. Either way, I like them both. And now that they are all done, I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to stencil on this one, and I'm going to do an IOD transfer on this one and then put a little flower pot in here instead of a votive. Well, I ended up using an IOD stamp of this little sheep on my basket with China blue ink because my stencil was too big, the one that I wanted to use. And then I just filled it up with some, I had to put a foam block in the bottom, green floral chunk, and then did some Spanish moss and then some green moss, and then I just used 3 different types of flowers. Well, not flowers. I guess eucalyptus, lamb's ear, and then this little flower sprig, and put it in there. And I did not, so this whole thing will lift right out. So if somebody wants to take the flowers out and put a house plant in there, they could do that also. So there we go. That's my projects that I finished up today, and hoping to get started on a new piece of furniture tomorrow. Have a good evening, and all of the paint products that I used in this video can be found on my website, boxermomcrafts.com, or in my booth at La Mercantile in Yakima, Washington.